Incidents at sea are on the rise as Taiwan reports more Chinese vessels in nearby waters.
发现大陆有一船，目前准备进行广播驱离。
Taiwan has among the most polluted air in East Asia, says a new report. But some here say those findings are not true.
Stay and give birth abroad or go home and miss out on work and income. We look at the difficult choices pregnant migrant workers must make in Taiwan. Plus, meet the Taiwanese long jumper set to carry the banner for his country at the 2024 Summer Olympics. Welcome to TaiwanPlus News, bringing you 30 minutes of the latest. I'm Liao. Taiwan's Coast Guard has reported more Chinese vessels in restricted waters. The sightings come as tensions soar in the Taiwan Strait with multiple maritime incidents in recent months. Joyce Zeng has the latest.
发现大陆有一船，目前准备进行广播驱离，因海象不佳，本艇实施广播驱离。
Spotted in rocky, restricted waters off Taiwan's Penghu Islands, another Chinese fishing boat, one of 7 in the latest sightings by Taiwan's Coast Guard.
无船名，该船为闽叉鱼叉叉叉号。
The fishing boats all had obscured names and breached sensitive borders, prompting Taiwan's Coast Guard to use radio warnings and water cannons to drive them out. Meanwhile, in the waters between Taiwan's northeastern coast and Japan's Yonaguni Island, a Chinese destroyer found within Taiwan's 24 nautical mile defense boundary, also known as the contiguous zone. Analysts say ramped up Chinese activity around Taiwan shows Beijing is becoming more forceful in its rejection of Taiwanese sovereignty.
军事手段来对台湾进行胁迫，甚至包括这种渔民就是疑似海上民兵的集体的这种作业，都会造成区域安全的这不稳定，这都反映出中共它这种复合式的战略，企图影响台湾的这个就是民族士气。
Taiwan-China tensions have been rising in recent months, with Chinese vessels found in Taiwanese waters around the outlying Jinmen Islands, Matsu Islands, Hsinchu, and now Penghu and Yilan. At the same time, Taiwanese fishers have also run into trouble. Recently, 2 people were rescued by China's Coast Guard after their boat lost power off Jinmen's shores. They're still in Chinese custody, with previous delays to repatriation plans. But Jinmen's lawmaker says one could return to Taiwan before the weekend.
谢谢大陆有妥善的这个处理啊，那很快的让我们其中一位民间人士先回来。
But with one Taiwanese citizen's return home still uncertain, and China's increased presence around Taiwan, many here will still be keeping a watchful eye. Andy Xue and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
President Tsai Ing-wen says she will ask the cabinet to consider the establishment of a White Terror Memorial Day. President Tsai met with civic groups and victims of political violence to discuss their call for an official day to commemorate the victims of the White Terror, a 4-decade-long period in the country's history that saw political repression under the Kuomintang's authoritarian rule. Advocates hope that dedicating a day to honoring the victims of White Terror will prevent this history and its lessons from being forgotten.
记忆如果丧失的话，这个国家是没有历史的。而这一段历史如果被空白的话，那这个国家哪有什么未来的希望？
Just days ago, Hong Kong passed a strict national security law expected to seriously erode the territory's democratic freedoms. Now, Taiwan lawmakers and Hong Kongers living here are calling for more protections for those who may be persecuted by the new legislation. Tiffany Wong reports.
抗议恶法通过，台湾各界挺香港，台湾各界挺香港。
Legislators from Taiwan's Democratic Progressive Party are standing with Hong Kongers, calling on the Hong Kong government to recall the new national security law known as Article 23, which was passed in Hong Kong's legislature unanimously just days ago. DPP legislators here fear that it will further deteriorate political freedoms in Hong Kong.
接下来港府会怎么使用？因为我们已经看到在前面的例子里面，港府 非常非常夸张的、恶劣的使用国安法来逮捕所有只是不听中共的话，或者是表露出一点想要追求民主意图的一般的人，或者是国会议员，都一样都被抓进去关了。
The new law expands the territory's already strict national security laws to target treason and external interference, as well as strengthening police powers. Beijing originally imposed a national security law on the territory in 2020, shutting down pro-democracy protests and causing thousands of residents, from political activists to artists to ordinary people, to flee. Some of those who have made it to Taiwan are asking for support for those still looking to escape.
希望台湾政府可以规划好他们地质的申请流程，定一个合理的薪资门槛。希望台湾政府让我们这些喜欢台湾的、同样拥抱民主自由的香港人，有一个明确、稳定的途径，可以留在台湾安心生活。
The new law goes into effect on Saturday, but the impact can already be felt in the spirit of Hong Kongers here as they watch their old home change drastically and hope that their new home in Taiwan can remain safe from Beijing's influence. Eason Chen and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The government is considering whether to set up a special task force dedicated to the protection of children. It follows a high-profile case of a 1-year-old boy who died allegedly at the hands of his nanny. John Van Trieste looks at what's being proposed.
Brought to court, a nanny accused of killing an infant in her care late last year is being arraigned by Taipei prosecutors. Since news of the child's death went public last week, Taiwan has been on high alert for other suspected cases of child abuse. The central government says it may need to set up a task force to better protect children, including those who are in a nanny's care while waiting for adoption, like the infant was.
我们应该在中央政府呢相关的部会设置专责的这个机构来做一个总整的情形，包括了像产前的照顾幼儿专责医师、儿童发展这个努力等等的这些方案
But child welfare advocates see the root of the problem in the nanny registration system and in Taiwan's social services, which they say are overburdened and underfunded. Fixing these issues would make other proposed changes more practical. Changes like more regular checkups on children's welfare.
需要有一个保姆证更新的机制，政府去投入更多的经费，提高这些访视员或者是社工他们的薪资，增加员额，访视高，它可以去减少孩子被不当对待的机会。
But there's a rift between the central government and local officials over responsibility, especially when it comes to children up for adoption. The central government's Social and Family Affairs Administration has highlighted what it says were local officials' missteps in the case. Chief among these was a failure to check on whether the infant met criteria for being put up for adoption in the first place.
不过，它比较着重在整个案家的一个经济议题。那对于案童的出养必要性，是不是有进行评估？
Local officials have defended their actions.
都是依照专业跟儿童最佳的利益来进行。事实上，按中央的法规，收出养的评估就是应该由这个中央的所核准的收出养的媒合机构来进行。
But before Taiwan can crack down on child abuse, child safety campaigners say the government will need to turn ideas into concrete policies and sort out differences of opinion about where responsibility should lie. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
It's been 5 years since Taiwan enacted laws to safeguard migrant workers' rights to have children in the country. But despite this progress, some foreign nationals still face challenges during pregnancy. Yujing Huang reports.
A strong heartbeat is a relief for expectant mother Wadi. Pregnant with her first child at the age of 36, Wadi is acutely aware that her age means higher risks for her baby.
医生，请问一下，那个宝宝一天他动才几次才是正常的？
一般来说就是都会一直动哦。
因为好像看起来是昨天比较没有那么动，所以我会担心。
Wadi from Indonesia has been accompanied to her prenatal checkup by a social worker from the shelter she stays at. As a migrant worker who has lived in Taiwan for over 10 years, she initially didn't picture starting a family here. Pregnancy used to be taboo. In most cases, if a foreign worker got pregnant, their employer would send them home. In a system where a broker fee can account for half of an annual salary, to be sent back and reapply for a job in Taiwan would be a huge blow. Changes to the law in 2019 have made things easier for pregnant migrant workers to stay. Knowing that she didn't need to worry about being deported after being out of work for 2 months, Wadi and her husband decided not to wait any longer to have children.
跟我这样子，大概36岁，如果我等到赚到钱，然后回去生孩，比较年纪比较大，也是生孩比较不好的。
今天有没有带小军去散步？
有啦，我刚才早上都有去散步了。
Wadi's husband comes from Thailand. They met and fell in love in Taiwan. Both migrant workers have lived away from home for years, and they were eager to start the next chapter of their lives. They got married and planned to have children in the country that brought them together. After Wadi got pregnant, she sought legal assistance and found this shelter. But quitting a job to prepare for a baby's arrival is no simple matter. Mila, another resident at the shelter, had difficulties after an unexpected pregnancy. Her employer and recruitment agency were not aware of the rule change and insisted she leave Taiwan. But as the primary financial provider for her family, going back home was not an option for Mila, especially when her mother needed money for medical care.
我担心如果我回去，谁给的钱？如果我回去，我怕我没有太大企业，我在这里，我怕他没有了，我没有看到。
The shelter caters to people in Mila's situation. But this safety net is not always stable. Despite government support, migrant workers still face discrimination. The shelter once had to relocate due to complaints from local residents.
每周都会有不同的单位，像劳工局啊，然后警察，然后消防局啊，就是各式各样的调查这样子。虽然他们是合法的移工啦，可是看到警察还是会有一些畏惧这样。
These mothers are among over 750,000 migrant workers in Taiwan, forming a crucial part of the country's workforce. However, their contribution often goes unappreciated, and some locals don't even view them as people with aspirations for life beyond working.
每个人的人生规划就是都有工作这一块，然后也有家庭这一块，然后希望可以不要就是让他们好像只是专注工作的机器人，让他们也有机会就是享受到在台湾就是家庭的温暖，他也有成家的一个需求这样。
Expectant mothers no longer have to worry about being deported for not working. But after their babies are born, a whole new set of challenges will present itself. They'll have to navigate the complexities of being a working mother, raising children in a foreign land. Another area where Taiwan's laws still lack much-needed provisions for them. P.T. Zhuang, Kamashi, and Yujin Huang for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, the U.S. is suing Apple. Stay tuned to find out why.
At Connected, we believe in the power of dialogue. It's not just about the headlines, it's about finding common ground. Join the conversation.
Connected with Divya Gopalan on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. A new report has found Taiwan's air pollution is among the worst in the region. But some here don't think it's so bad. Sally Jensen is outside breathing it in.
It may not seem like it in the capital, Taipei, but Taiwan's air has been ranked as the 45th most polluted in the world and the 3rd worst in East Asia. That's according to a new report by the private Swiss air company IQ Air, which measured pollutants in the air across 134 countries in 2023 and found that Taiwan's air is better than China's but worse than South Korea's and Japan's, and has got even worse, 50% worse over the last year. And that's pretty embarrassing for a developed country. And the Ministry of Environment has already refuted these findings, saying that actually Taiwan's air quality has improved and that the data used in the report doesn't match their own. But local environmental groups have hit back and said that actually, yes, Taiwan's air is as bad as the report says.
那你不应该去质疑说它的数据有问题，可能太高或者怎么样。你应该去讲说，那既然这个数据这么多的大数据里面可以看到彰化的空气污染就是这么严重，那你应该要想办法找出要怎么样降低污染的，不是去质疑它的数据，这样没有意义啊。
Now, air quality across Taiwan is different according to complex factors like geology and seasonal winds, but the country's reliance on fossil fuels as well as heavy industry in the south mean that air pollution poses a real health risk on the island nation. And the World Health Organization estimates that some 7 million people worldwide die from air pollution. So the troubling ranking as well as growing calls to action domestically may mean that Taiwan needs to take this life-threatening issue more seriously. Alex Chen and Sally Jensen in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Concerns are growing in southern Taiwan about planned TSMC plants depleting local reservoirs. Officials in Yunlin County have spoken out about the need to conserve water resources there.
湖山水库当时兴建的一个基本的条件跟原则我想我们不能忽略当时民众的提出来的意见，我们是提供民生用水，并不提供工业用水。
The first of the chip giant's packaging plants, which is planned for 2028 in Jiayi, will require around 36,000 tons of water per day. Jiayi and Yunlin County share water sources, and some locals worry this plant will cause conflict over limited resources. But Jiayi's county chief says Taiwan's water is a national resource and shouldn't be guarded by local governments.
云林县的湖山水库，大概76%的集水面积是在嘉义县，所以我们希望大家为了台湾的整体发展，为了产业的发展，那我想我们应该要共享水源。
In response, Taiwan's economy ministry says the TSMC plant will use mostly recycled water and desalinated seawater, and that facilities for these are in the works. Tech giant Apple could soon see its day in court. The U.S. Justice Department is suing the designer of the iPhone, accusing it of illegally monopolizing the smartphone market. How should tech companies handle the services available through their products? For Apple, that is now an $85 billion question. U.S. authorities are suing the American tech giant, saying it's been violating the country's antitrust laws. The Justice Department alleges that Apple has illegally monopolized the smartphone market. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland says the company corners more than 65% of that market in America. He says that Apple achieved its dominance not through innovation, but through anti-competitive practices.
Apple has maintained monopoly power in the smartphone market not simply by staying ahead of the competition on the merits, but by violating federal antitrust law.
It's just the latest in the company's mounting legal troubles, as countries around the world pressure it to change the way it runs its iPhone business, putting at risk the tens of billions of dollars it makes each year in app and services revenue. Apple's line of smartphones is one of the most popular in the world. The company has long been known for charging high prices for its devices, with its top phone model fetching up to $1,600 US.
Apple, it's infamous, it's famous at the same time. People are going to give money, even if it's a useless product or a useful product.
Hefty hardware prices aside, users are limited to purchasing software for their iPhones using the company's proprietary App Store. That means Apple gets a say in what apps are available to users, while also giving its apps designed in-house an edge. The company also takes a 30% commission for each sale made on its App Store. Officials say these practices are not only exclusionary, but also discourage innovation.
Apple imposes contractual restrictions and fees that limit the features and functionality that developers can offer iPhone users. We allege that Apple has consolidated its monopoly power, not by making its own products better, but by making other products worse.
The lawsuit's impacts may even reach Taiwan. Apple is Taiwanese chip giant TSMC's biggest customer. Last year, Apple bought TSMC's entire stock of its cutting-edge 3-nanometer chips to use in its products. Any disruption to Apple's operations could affect the chipmaker's business. Apple says it will fight the lawsuit, arguing it sets a dangerous precedent that could empower the government to intervene in the design of future technology. It's just one of several U.S. crackdowns against big tech companies. But Apple's case has the potential to take a bite out of significant business prospects here in Taiwan. The UK and Australia have signed a new defense treaty amid growing concerns over China's increased military capabilities. Ministers from both countries toured an Australian naval shipyard after signing the agreement. The new treaty obliges the two countries to consult each other if faced with foreign threats. It's the latest sign of strengthening defense ties between Canberra and London following the AUKUS agreement to supply Australia with nuclear submarines signed together with the US in 2021. Police in India have arrested Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, a prominent opposition politician. They allege Kejriwal took $12 million in bribes from liquor companies and provided undue benefits under his party's 2021 liquor policy, which privatized liquor trade. Kejriwal's party says the accusations are designed to sway India's April elections and that it is asking India's Supreme Court to quash the arrest. 2 other party leaders were detained last year over the same case. They are among several opposition figures facing charges they say are politically motivated. The first successful pig-to-human kidney transplant could bring hope to patients stuck on long wait lists. Surgeons at Massachusetts General Hospital successfully operated on Richard Slayman, giving him a kidney from a pig that was genetically modified to remove harmful genes and boost human compatibility. The surgery marks a milestone in cross-species organ transplantation. Surgeons and researchers plan to monitor Slayman's recovery and the kidney's performance, but they believe that his procedure could open the doors for more than 100,000 people in the U.S. waiting for transplants. With just 4 months to go before the 2024 Paris Olympics, Taiwanese star long jumper Ling Yutang is getting ready for the biggest leap of his career. Sandy Chi went to see how he's preparing for the Games.
Long jumper Ling Yutang is used to making big leaps. After a slow start in a sleepy town in Taiwan's outlying islands of Penghu, Lin trained hard and landed himself on Taiwan's national team. Now he's bound for the 2024 Paris Summer Olympics. Long jump can be traced back to the ancient Olympics. Although the concept is simple, it requires timing, power, technique, and flexibility to pull off. Things 23-year-old Lin has plenty of.
你助跑过来，你还要去上板，因为像我们有时候可能速度太快，我们的肌力可能没有办法承受住我们可能跑过来10秒，然后我们要瞬间停下来踩板，把它转换成垂直起跳。
Lin is Taiwan's top long jumper and the country's best hope to win the first Olympic medal in the sport. In 2023, he broke the national long jump record at the Asian Athletics Championships when he cleared 8.4 meters. That would have been enough to secure bronze at the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo. But Olympic glory is still a tall order for the shorter-than-average triathlete.
我国小升国中那时候只有应该不到150公分吧，因为我们那时候就是纯有点像练开心的吗？在国小的时候，就是我们利用下课时间大家出来运动这样子。
Lin makes up for his height with his work ethic and determination. Strengths that caught the attention of his coaches.
玉堂应该是说他是一个非常有运动天分的选手，虽然说他个子不高，但是他的身体的一些机灵反应能力都特别的好，再加上他也蛮聪明的。
Lin has worked with different coaches who've pushed him to go the distance.
我觉得说我喜欢他就是其实蛮自由自在的啦，然后每天可以玩沙，其实技术层面也算蛮高的。你要跑啊加跳，其实它结合起来是我蛮喜欢的。然后到现在，我觉得我喜欢他的腾空感。
But all the running and jumping took a toll. Lin had to face his greatest fears at 19 when he snapped a nerve during training.
就是连走都不行，就是你脚踝一直都是朝下，你可能走路走一走就会，照说有石头或是有小凸的东西，你可能可以正常走过去没事，但是我是脚尖是朝下，我会直接踢倒，然后就可能摔倒。
Lin went through months of physical therapy. He was an Olympic-level runner, learning how to walk again.
那时候想说啊，练了这么久，突然这样子，我真的能恢复吗？因为其实我们受伤，我们不怕不练，我们只怕说我能恢复到哪一段的时期，我们运动生涯还有剩多久。
He used his recovery to work on skills and exercises that he neglected when focusing on jumping. He says support from his family, friends, and coaches pushed him through the hard times.
那时候我就觉得说，其实没有人放弃我的时候，有人相信我的时候，还没放弃我的时候，那我更不可以放弃我自己。还没到最后一刻的时候，谁输谁赢不一定。
With his coaches and family behind him, Lin will represent Taiwan at the 2024 Olympic Games. With just months to go until then, he's focused on one goal: making the leap into the finals. Luffy Lee, Patrick Chen, and Sunny Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Before we go, check out these images of spring equinox celebrations at the Teotihuacan pyramids in Mexico. I'm Liao. Take care, and I'll see you next time.